Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for our Victorian Water Safety Certificate webinar for swim schools and facilities. We can see that there are a couple of people just jumping on now, but we will get started and get straight into it. Just a reminder that this particular webinar is targeted towards swim schools and facilities, or the aquatic industry. If you are joining us from a school, you are welcome to stay. However, we will be presenting another webinar targeted towards schools later this afternoon, but you are welcome to stay. As I said, just be mindful that a lot of the language that we will be using will be targeted towards the aquatic industry. So welcome everybody. My name is Caitlin Greenhill and I will be running you through this presentation today. We will go through the current Victorian Water Safety Certificate competencies. Now, these are kind of new. You've probably heard us talk about them for the past few months. These were released earlier this year, and now is the time that they are coming into practice. So we are going to go through that quite a bit, but it is very important to take note of everything we discuss today, making sure that you begin to align your programs to these new competencies, as the new certificate has just been launched on our Victorian Water Safety Certificate portal. So if you are printing off certificates, this will reflect the current competencies or the new competencies of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. So something very important to be aware of, but we will be running through that in more detail during this presentation. We would like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we all meet today and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping. Please do make sure you keep your microphones muted throughout the presentation. This allows us to have a disruption-free presentation throughout. Also, please make sure your cameras remain off. You will notice that your cameras have been turned off already, but please make sure this remains the case. You are also able to use live captions if you would like. To be able to utilise the live captions, you simply have to click on the three dots at the top of your screen. It should have three dots that say more. Click on that button, scroll down to where it says live captions, and you can switch those on. Now, just a note that this meeting will be recorded as well, so you can access this webinar at any stage after this has been presented. If you would like to rewatch it, share it with your staff, share it with your colleagues, anything at all, this will be available online on our webinar recordings page on our toolkit, which Mark has just popped in the chat there. Thank you, Mark. So give it up to about a week for it to be live on that web page, but you then will be able to access this webinar recording. Now, as always, any questions or comments that you do have throughout the presentation, please do pop them in the chat straight away while they're fresh in your mind. We will get to them at an allocated time during the presentation, or the wonderful education team who is also joining me today can jump on and answer your question if they are able to do so. To start us off, if you missed it at the start of the presentation, make sure you jump onto that chat. You can click on the the little icon at the top of your screen that is the speech bubble. Click on that one, the chat will pop up and you can let us know where you are joining us from and say a quick hello. Now, to begin today, I'm hoping that our Slido is going to work. Let's see if it does. We would like to ask you a question, and that is if your facility is currently implementing the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. Now, I'm just going to jump onto our presentation here and make sure that we are logged into Slido. Gotta love technology, but have a think about whether you are currently implementing the Victorian Water Safety Certificate at your facility at the moment. And I will just log us in so that comes up as a live option for you to answer. Let's see if that pops up. Not today, unfortunately. Gotta love technology, as I said. But how about you pop that in the chat instead? So make sure you let us know if your facility currently is implementing the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. If not, that is entirely okay, because you have joined us today to learn all about it. So we can provide you with more information and help you out with actually implementing it at your facility. Let us know if you're having any challenges with implementing the certificate as well, and if there are any ways that you would like Lifesaving Victoria to help you out. So I do apologise about that little technology hiccup there, but pop it in the chat and let us know how you are going with that at the moment. We'll give it a few more minutes. And as you can see, Jackie has said hello in the chat. Jackie is currently our Swim and Survive coordinator. Jackie, you may have a new title now. You'll have to let us know in the chat. And Mark is joining us here as well. So thank you very much, Mark, for popping in those links today. Everybody else, make sure you jump in that chat and you can let us know how you're going with the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. Say hello, let us know your facility name, where you're joining us from today, and how you would like Lifesaving Victoria to help you out further with implementing the Victorian Water Safety Certificate as well. While we're waiting for those to pop in the chat there, let's have a look at this slide here. So why do we utilise and why should you incorporate the Victorian Water Safety Certificate in your programs? The most important point that we can make is that future funding does depend on the number of Victorian Water Safety Certificates that are uploaded on our dashboard each year. So the Victorian Water Safety Certificate, in a nutshell, if you have not yet heard about it, it is a Victorian government initiative that outlines the competencies or shows the landscape of our swimming skills of our Victorian children across the state. So this data is provided to the Victorian government. They are able to see how many students are demonstrating these competencies that are outlined in this certificate. So it gives us all an idea of the level of swimming capabilities of our students across our Victorian state. Now, we need to see that many students are experiencing swimming lessons, they are working towards and are achieving this certificate in order for future funding to be targeted towards swimming and water safety education. So very important in that aspect. For you as facilities, this funding goes towards schools, which means that they are able to then book in programs with your facilities using that funding. So this funding is very important for our aquatic industry as well. Schools and parents are expecting it. They have been informed, they know about the Victorian Water Safety Certificate as well. So they may in fact come to your facility and ask if you are implementing the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. So that is something very important that you can advertise and demonstrate to show that you are a quality facility and you are implementing and teaching quality swimming and water safety programs. It also provides benchmark data against the National Swimming and Water Safety Framework, as well as the Victorian Curriculum, to show, again, quality of your program. And you can also use this to observe more data and compare data for your programs between grades or year levels at school, months of the year, so you can see which different months were achieved, or in which different months the Victorian Water Safety Certificate was achieved. The different years, so compare data across the years from maybe 3 years ago to today and onwards. It gives you a very great and accessible piece of data that you can use for your programs currently and in future. Now, this little visual on screen here shows you how the Victorian Water Safety Certificate has been aligned to various elements that we are utilising in the aquatic industry today. The first one you can see, it is aligned to the Victorian Curriculum. So at that grade 6 or level 6 year or band, that is where the Victorian Water Safety Certificate aligns to in the Victorian Curriculum. It also aligns to our Swim and Survive curriculum as well. If you follow and utilise the Swim and Survive curriculum, your students are achieving level 7, they are automatically achieving the Victorian Water Safety Certificate as well. And finally, it has been completely aligned to the 12-year-old milestone of the National Swimming and Water Safety Framework. And we'll go through that in a bit more detail now. So as I said, the swimming and water safety does align to the Victorian curriculum, and swimming and water safety is in fact part of the curriculum for the health and physical education learning area. It aligns to the Victorian curriculum through 4 focus areas, and these are fundamental movement skills, safety, lifelong physical activities, and challenge and adventure activities. Now, you yourselves may not teach specifically the Victorian curriculum, but this is an excellent piece of information to have so that you can share this with your schools and again, gain more clientele. It also aligns, as I said, to the 12-year-old milestone of the National Swimming and Water Safety Framework. As you can see on screen, that yellow box does circle that particular milestone and the particular competencies that students are expected to achieve at that age. So another strong alignment there. It also aligns directly, as I said, to the level 7 of the Swim and Survive curriculum there. So you can see the specific competencies and how they are addressed across between the Victorian Water Safety Certificate and Swim and Survive on your screen. Now, this is what the new version of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate looks like. It has had an update. So when we updated those competencies, we also updated the look and feel. So if you jump onto the portal, you will notice that this is what appears in your PDF download or the certificates that you download and print off for your schools and your students. Now, as you may already know, this certificate is expected to be achieved by students when they reach the end of grade 6 or by the time they reach the end of grade 6. Now, this is anticipated by us and by the government. However, we do acknowledge that it is not possible for every single child and every single student to achieve these competencies. So long as you are working towards these and including these competencies in your programs, that is the most important thing. It is also important to note that this is not a replacement for your current programs. This is in addition to. So this is not a program itself. It is simply a list of competencies that students need to demonstrate, and then they will achieve this certificate. And as I said before, it is now live online on the Victorian Water Safety Certificate portal. So if you go on today and upload your data, this is the particular certificate that you will see downloaded into your PDF or sent over to your schools. Now, the new competencies, I'm going to go through them in a bit more detail now. Some of them are exactly the same as what you previously utilised with the previous Victorian Water Safety Certificate competencies list. Some of them are very similar. They may have adjusted timing, and some of them are new, and they are new to align with those particular areas that I showed you before. So the first one we see is the water safety knowledge competency, and students will need to answer questions relating to safety rules for a range of aquatic environments. Next up, we have a swim, and they do need to swim continuously for 50 metres. Now, this is a combination of swimming strokes and survival strokes, so important to note there. There is also an underwater competency where students need to surface dive, swim underwater and retrieve an object or recover an object from deep water. They will then have to demonstrate a life-saving competency by responding to an emergency and demonstrating doctors A-B and the recovery position. They also need to demonstrate some rescue skills. Now that involves a reach rescue with a non-rigid aid, such as a towel or a piece of clothing, a throw rescue using a weighted rope, and a throw rescue using a buoyant object, and then also an unweighted rope. Students will also need to demonstrate a survival sequence. Now, this is a sequence whereby they need to be wearing light clothing on top of their swimwear. They need to enter the water safely. They need to scull, float and tread water for 2 minutes and signal for help intermittently. They need to show some survival strokes, swimming those in a slow motion for 3 minutes. Then they need to show that they can exit the water safely as well. Now, this may be a lot of information and it might take some time to get used to the new competencies or be able to implement and deliver the Victorian Water Safety Certificate in your programs. So we have developed some support material for you to utilise. This includes some frequently asked questions sheets. We have the must-sees sheet as well as some information that you can share with your students and with your parents also. Now, a great thing that is coming soon is we are currently developing some competency videos. Now, these are a bit like the must-sees, but they are in video form. So if you have some new swim teachers coming on board, or if you would like to upskill your current swim teachers so they feel confident with assessing the Victorian Water Safety Certificate competencies, these are fantastic videos that show them exactly what they should be looking out for, with some voiceovers as well to explain that also, so that they know exactly how to assess and what they are assessing for the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. So keep an eye out for these. These are due to be released early June, so next month, not very far away, and they will be accessible on our toolkit. Another thing that we would encourage you to sign up for if you have not done so yet is your own Victorian Water Safety Certificate dashboard. Now, it's got a little image on screen here about what you can expect on your dashboard. You can access all your data for your particular swim school or facility, for all the schools who you have worked with and the students who have achieved the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. You can compare year levels, you can compare genders, you can compare across different years as well, across different months. As I said, some really rich data involved in the Victorian Water Safety Certificate, and you can have access to it directly at any time you wish if you do register for your own dashboard. So there is a link in the chat at the moment where you can sign up for a WUFU form, which will register your interest to get your own dashboard. We at LSV will then sign you up your own dashboard and you will receive some login details shortly. So make sure if you haven't done so yet, that is a great way to stay on top of your data. You can also upload your certificates via that dashboard. It's got pre-filled information, so it kind of halves the time as well for your upload. It's got all the information about your swim school already in there, saves you typing up the same thing over and over again. So you can upload your certificates via that dashboard as well, reprint certificates if you ever have any students or schools who may have lost their certificate or need a second copy of their certificate. You can do that via this dashboard as well. So a really, really important resource to sign up for and utilise. Now we're going to watch this short clip now, and I'm hoping that technology is going to be on my side this time and the volume will be working. But please do let me know. I might ask Mark and Jackie to pop it in the chat if you can't hear it. But this will show you and explain to you how to upload certificates, or more so the importance and what to expect on your dashboard when you sign up. Okay, so that explains to you exactly what you can expect on your own Victorian Water Safety Certificate dashboard. As I said before, if you do wish to register for that, I highly encourage you that you do. The link to register is in the chat and you can access that there. Otherwise, you can jump straight onto our online toolkit. Mark has also popped the link to the toolkit in the chat, and you can follow the prompts and follow the links to the page for the Victorian Water Safety Certificate there. That page on the toolkit does provide lots of valuable information, and the toolkit is also always being updated. So as we release new resources or we update certain things, you will be able to see that live as it is updated on that toolkit. So make sure you jump on, check it out, and continuously view it and explore it as well, because we are always making new resources to assist swim schools and facilities with their programs. On top of that as well, if you have any requests for particular resources that you would like to see being developed or being added to the toolkit, make sure you send us an email. Pop them in the chat now if you have some ideas already, because we are always looking to you guys for how we can develop resources that are most suitable for your programs and make resources that you want and need. So make sure you pop that in there now. Otherwise, send us an email and we can certainly look into creating that for you. Now, here is a page all about the Swimming and Water Safety Toolkit. You can see on screen a little picture about what it looks like and all the tabs along the top there, filled with lots of information and lots of resources. Most importantly, it is free. Absolutely everything that you see on the toolkit is free to download and use. That is why it is so wonderful. So instead of you all creating your own resources that you might need, and we absolutely understand that time is very, very precious for your swim schools and your facilities, make sure that you jump on, see if we have already developed a particular resource that you are looking for, or email us and we can certainly see if we can develop that, as I said. Now, there is the link to the toolkit on the screen. It is also in the chat. And as I said, filled with free resources and key information. Now, you also have the opportunity to subscribe to updates, and that is something that you can jump onto on the toolkit. So if you jump on the home page of the toolkit, scroll down, you'll see a yellow bar that spreads across the page. That will prompt you to enter your email address, and that will automatically subscribe you to our monthly updates. Our monthly updates are very important, and if you are in this webinar today, you are very likely to have already subscribed because you would have received the link to register for this webinar. Now, make sure you tell all of your colleagues to subscribe. Share this around with other facilities that you know of who may not already be aware of the toolkit and the webinars that we present as well. Our webinars and everything on the toolkit, as I said, are completely free for you to access. Some may be a fee for service. However, all the webinars that we present under the Public Water Safety Initiative are completely free for you to access. So make sure, if you haven't already, or if you know somebody who should, let them know to jump onto the toolkit so they can subscribe to our monthly emails. Now, we also have some water safety knowledge resources. Now, as I mentioned before, this is a competency on the Victorian Water Safety Certificate, so it is something that you as facilities will also need to assess. Now, you may wish to communicate with your schools or with your students to see how the schools themselves can also assess this side, because we do encourage schools to implement some form of water safety education in classrooms. We do have our own programs at Lifesaving Victoria, but we also have some resources, many, many, many resources available on the toolkit. So they are completely free and very easily accessible. We encourage you to utilise these in your program. So we have some flashcards, the ones you can see on screen. We have some question and answer sheets that are shown on screen specifically for the Victorian Water Safety Certificate, so you can ask and receive answers to particular questions, so you can be confident that you are assessing the knowledge skills there. But we encourage you to have a look at the other resources that are available and share these with your school so that they can implement these in their classroom. And then students are getting not only the information and the learning at your swim school, they are also extending their learning into the classroom space as well. So really getting the rich education that they need to be able to demonstrate the competencies of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. So these are just a couple that are on screen at the moment. There are lots and lots and lots of resources on the toolkit, so make sure you check them out and share them with your swim schools, as I said. Now, I'm not sure if this one is going to work either, but certainly pop it in the chat. I know our chat is a bit quiet at the moment, but let us know how you are currently teaching and assessing the water safety knowledge component in your lessons. Now, if that's not through the Victorian Water Safety Certificate yet, let us know what sorts of activities you are doing to ask questions of students, to inform them of different waterways outside of the pool so that they are expanding their knowledge to different waterways aside from just the pool where they are learning their programs. So let us know in the chat all the different ways that you are assessing water safety knowledge in your lessons. Now, one additional resource that is absolutely fantastic that was developed towards the end of last year is our Swim City online e-learning module. And this is targeted towards primary age students. Now, when I say primary age students, to complete this module independently, we would say it's targeted towards students in grades 3 to 6. So they can use a laptop, use an iPad, use any other device to complete the Swim City online module. However, it can also be targeted towards students in foundation to level 2. We have seen multiple schools use this resource for their junior primary age students. And this was just presented, as you can see on the screen, on their interactive whiteboard in their classroom. And the teacher was able to talk them through the module, and they were able to work together as a class to answer the questions, complete the challenges and the activities on the Swim City module there. So this is a fantastic one to share with your schools as well. It is all online. Again, it's on the toolkit to access, and a fantastic resource that really teaches students about all different aquatic environments, and they get to solve challenges in these different environments as well. Now, the different environments involved include the home, an aquatic facility, a river, a lake, a bay beach, and a surf beach. And really the ultimate aim of this particular module is so that students can learn vital water safety knowledge, and they can actually work towards achieving the water safety knowledge competency of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. So a brilliant module to have, a brilliant resource to have accessible at your facility. We have some flyers and things available on our toolkit if you wish to advertise this. It's also a great one for students to complete on pool deck if they, for whatever reason, aren't able to complete their swim lesson on that day, or if we have a school coming along and a student has forgotten their bathers or is unable to enter the water for whatever reason. It's a brilliant opportunity to get them completing some online work so that they can still work towards completing their knowledge component of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. So this is one of those things that, again, it's completely free on the toolkit, but a great one to use to build up that water safety knowledge of your students. Now we're going to begin to wrap up our webinar. It has been a bit of a shorter one because our technology wasn't working. We were hoping to have a lovely discussion, a big discussion with everyone to see how you are utilising the Victorian Water Safety Certificate, as well as any challenges that you have and so forth. We will wrap up with some tips and tricks, but I am then actually going to pop in the link, specifically the link to the Slido that we have available, as well as the hashtag that you can use to access the questions. And we'll see if they pop up and you can access and pop in your answers on there, and we'll see if that works. But to wrap up today, we have got some tips and tricks for you. Now, we would encourage you, first of all, to have a look at your achievement levels and your curriculum levels in your particular programs and see which one aligns just about right with the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. It might almost align and you just have to assess a few more competencies or a couple more competencies, but that's the best way to do it. Instead of having it as its own separate assessment, the best way to incorporate the Victorian Water Safety Certificate is to align it with one of your achievement levels. So that is step one. Step two, we encourage you to train and inform your staff to ensure that they have an adequate understanding of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate and they can get their hands on the assessment material as well. Now, we will also have coming up soon an assessment checklist. So it is a very easy assessment checklist, probably very similar to the ones that you are utilising already in your own programs, that will have the competencies listed as well as spaces for names, And you can then simply check the names off as they achieve those competencies. So that will be available on our toolkit very soon, probably the same time, if not sooner, than those competency videos are released. So a very good thing to have access to as well, and share that with your staff. Now, make sure you include the fact that you are utilising the Victorian Water Safety Certificate in your promotions. As I said, parents know about the Victorian Water Safety Certificate, and so do schools. So it's a great thing to advertise that you are utilising it. Make sure you pop anything on your website, pop them on your TVs in the foyer area, print off some flyers, all sorts of things included in your communications. We do have some infographics available. They were included in the email, the update email that you would have received when you registered for this webinar, and they will be placed on the toolkit as well for you to access and utilise. So great ones to use. They can be used, as I said, on your TV screens. They can be placed in your communications, used however you wish, on your social media channels, all sorts of things. So lots of different opportunities for you to utilise those resources there. Now, as I mentioned before, make sure you talk with your schools about how they can also implement the Victorian Water Safety Certificate into their classroom lessons. So utilising those classroom materials or those online materials, the Swim City module, the lesson plans. We have lesson plans on our toolkit as well. We've got activity books, we've got our watch and learn videos, we've got absolutely everything available there. So lots of different ways that they can teach water safety knowledge, but also then assess the water safety knowledge as well. So make sure you're interacting with your school so that they are certainly aware of the certificate itself, but also how they can assist you with assessing the knowledge component. And finally, make sure to consider when to include your own dry resources or classroom-based resources throughout your own program as well. Think about the questions you could ask students during the program, or the different activities that students could do during the programs that you are assessing the water safety knowledge competency. Now, we do have a call to action for you all. As I said, the current portal does have the new Victorian Water Safety Certificate currently on there. So if you were to jump on straight after this webinar and upload some data, the certificate will show the new and current competencies of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. Therefore, it is very important that you are utilising and teaching and assessing the new competencies of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate from now. We are going to give you some leeway. We're going to say by the end of this term, we expect every single swim school to be implementing the new updated competencies into your program. So make sure you are aware of it, and make sure that your staff and your swim teachers are aware of it as well, so that they are assessing the up-to-date competencies. Very, very important. We will continue to push out communication so that everyone is aware, but that is your most important task, is to make sure that you are assessing towards the current competencies. Finally, we're going to see if we have any questions in the chat. If you do have some questions that you've been holding on to, pop them in the chat there. Now, some people may not have access to the chat. We know that there are some challenges with technology, with web browsers, with those sorts of things. So you do have an available time now to switch off your microphones. If you did have a question, you are able to ask it verbally as well. Otherwise, pop that question in the chat. I'd like to say hello to Liz. Thank you, Liz, for popping and sharing where you are joining us from in the chat. That's wonderful. And that also confirms for me that you can access the chat. So thank you very much for that. Another thing to look at in the chat as well is all the links that have been shared today to all the things that we have mentioned. So make sure you can access that. If you are having any issues, as I said, don't hesitate, take your microphone off mute and you can go ahead and ask us some questions. But it seems a bit quiet today, and that is absolutely fine. You may just be taking on board all the information that we are sharing, which is wonderful. And please do share this with other swim schools as well. Let them know if you're having any conversations with other facilities, make sure to inform them that they do need to start assessing towards the updated competencies of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. Please do continue to pop any questions or comments into the chat there. We will just keep moving forward though. Now, this particular Slido survey is going to work. So we do have our survey for today's presentation. This is just a very quick 30-second survey, and we do request that you complete this so that we can stay on top of all of our webinars, all of our professional development sessions, and make sure that we are providing the quality information that you want and you need through our presentation. So please do, we do ask that you scan the QR code there. If you are unable to access the QR code, we will have a link in the chat to Slido. That is just www.slido.com, and you can pop in the code LSVPD, all capital letters, 2022. So as I said, it's just a quick 30-second survey. We do request that everyone who attends our free webinars does complete this survey, and it does allow us to make sure that we're targeting the correct information for our audience and providing you with quality professional development there. So I'll give you a couple more moments to scan that QR code or jump on the link that Mark has popped in the chat there and into that the hashtag code that is on the screen as well. And I will bring up our final slide for today. You all get about 6 minutes back in your day. But we do say a very big thank you for joining us today and learning all about the updated competencies of the Victorian Water Safety Certificate. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, if you are experiencing some challenges with utilising the Victorian Water Safety Certificate, please do get in touch with us. We are here to help you. We know that time is very valuable and very, very precious for our aquatic industry. So therefore, we want to help you in any way that we can. So certainly, please do get in contact with us at education@lsv.com.au. If you are a Swim and Survive partner, you will recognise that below email address, that is swimandsurvive@lsv.com.au. You can email that address there. If you want to become a Swim and Survive partner, that's also a great email address to get in contact with. Otherwise, please do call us on our education line, which is 9676 6940, and we will be more than happy to help you out. As I said, this webinar has been recorded, so it will be made available on our toolkit hopefully within the week. Jump back on next Monday, and it should certainly be there for you to access. So you can share that with your staff, with your colleagues, or with other facilities as well who would benefit from watching this and understanding the new competencies and what is expected of everyone. On behalf of everybody here in the education team at Lifesaving Victoria, I would like to say thank you once again for joining us today. You can have 6 minutes back in your day. Have a wonderful afternoon. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. And thank you very much for your continuous commitment to swimming and water safety education. Thank you, everyone.